Welcome to a conversation with Wang, CEO of Constellation Research and co-founder of the AI Forum, and to Tanusree Saha, head of our advisory team at Wipro. I am Ben Sefton, and I'm hosting on behalf of the CDAO Circle, a community of CDOs and like-minded senior executives inspired by the opportunities of data and AI. Now today, I'd like to talk about the future, or ask Ray and Tanu about the future of work and the impact of Agentic AI on the changes and how that will revolutionize. So Ray, can I start by asking you a little bit about an interesting concept I think you've talked about on LinkedIn, and I know in a number of your posts, about the concept of data ink. Could you tell us a bit more about that and just help us understand the future?
You know, Ben, it's a big piece. We're all spending the time talking about AI, automation, the data, and that's really the nuts and bolts of making something happen. Data Inc. as a new business model that every organization is going to be thinking about, because the value of their data is as much as their forward revenue. And what I mean by that, there are 5 ways you can actually make money with the data that's inside your organization, and most companies are not taking advantage of it. So number 1 is you have unique sets of data. And the question is, what can you use those unique sets of data to go out and actually sell or compete or actually differentiate? One great example, Callaway bought Topgolf. That was a very interesting thing. And it's an interesting example because Topgolf, if you're not familiar, is a bowling alley for golfers. And every time you hit a golf swing, they track the balls and they send them out there. And when you first look at this, Callaway buys Topgolf, you're like, what's going on here? And then it dawns upon you that if you were a golf manufacturer of equipment and balls, the most interesting set of data would be, how do golfers swing? And so it turns out Callaway bought Topgolf really for the data. And what does Topgolf have? The world's largest collection of bad swings. And if you think about these bad swings, if you can optimize a golf club, build a better golf ball for people who don't necessarily hit it straight or direct onto the golf ball, well, now you have an amazing market. And so it turns out that's one type of model. Now, there are 4 other types of models that are important. There's one that's really talked about what we look at data and networks. And if you think about data and networks, the companies with the largest number of devices, the largest number of members, largest numbers of connected points actually have a huge advantage. And there's information in that data that can be used somewhere else. There's a third example that's really what we call longitudinal data. And in longitudinal data, what you want to be able to do is take information over a period of time and put that to use. So there's a company in the US that basically scans the retina of the eye of babies at birth, and they use that to actually find preventable surgeries. And if you can actually figure out preventable surgery, that's actually a really good point where you can actually help save a baby's life, but you also create a huge revenue model. So imagine the test is only $400, but the preventive surgery is a lot more, but it actually has a lot more benefit. And so now you actually have a system where you actually have data, you have actually revenue on the original visit, you now have surgery data that you can actually true for referrals, but then we can take it to one step further. There are pharmaceutical companies that are really interested in figuring out clinical trials and information. And if they have access to that data, they will be willing to pay anywhere from $300 to maybe $1,000 for those records. And that is bigger than the existing market for just the surgery, referrals, and of course the tests. And that's really what we're trying to get to. Now imagine you turn 43 and Warby Parker calls you up 30 days before and says, you need reading glasses. That's really the power of this longitudinal data. Now, the next 2 are actually interesting. One is derived data sets. That's where you have data and you add it to someone else's data to create a brand new product. In the US, if you drive a Tesla with autopilot and you're considered a good driver, they can cut your insurance costs in half. And then the last one is really about data marketplaces and how you actually create a multi-sided marketplace for data. And that's a little bit deeper. So we'll go in there at another point in time.
Ray, thank you very much indeed. It's always been fascinating to hear you tell that story and help us understand the future. Unfortunately, I'm not 43. I'm past that point, but I have 3 daughters at university. And what I'm interested in is, Tanu, what do you think will be the characteristics of an organization that is driven in the way that Ray talks about?
My God, this is a very difficult as well as an important question. All of it, the foundation is this future data inc. But in my mind, this layered nirvana stage that I think about starts with the first layer, which is around the way we engage with each other as well as with agents is going to change dramatically. So we are going to move from all these constrained technology processes as well as humans working around it to an agent-first operating model with humans in the middle. But yes, one thing is that experience where you need the human touch, humans will increase, in my opinion. So now with this kind of an experience layer where agent is first or agent operating model is at the center of things, then how do you create an ecosystem and an operating model which really fuels this kind of an experience system? And that's where I feel that organizations are going to start setting up something called as agentic operating system, which will be not just nurturing and building these new world employees, which are agents, but they will be also working on orchestrating them at scale with the right kind of boundary conditions and guardrails and decision parameters that they should not work beyond. Now, these agents will behave or misbehave. It will totally depend on whether they are working in the right direction, if the right kind of data ink or the foundation is placed. Now, this is where I feel that the data foundation should be built in a very different way going forward. It needs to be productized. It needs to be Legofied. It needs to have an identity, a passport to itself. And the way you have that is by ensuring that the right kind of metadata, the lineage, all the peripherals are there so that the agents who are going to talk to these data sets and the breadth of the data ink that Ray spoke about, they are able to kind of leverage all these different elements. And then finally, the bottom layer becomes the technology and the chips of the world. I feel that technology is going to be simplified. Yes, technology will get simplified because all these, I should not be controversial here, so I would name the technologies, but there will be technologies which are mom and pop shop-ish, SaaS products, Frankenstein stack. All of those won't be able to talk to each other at scale in an agentic system. Hence, the ones which future-proof themselves will survive. The ones which do not will not. And hence, it will be a much cleaner stack, hopefully, Nirvana state. And then that's kind of my Nirvana state for how these organizations will be set up. And for your daughter, I would recommend that get your hands dirty into doing something with AI right away. I'm telling you a story. Last week, I told my daughter, okay, we are going to do something over the weekends together. She said, Mama, we are going to cook 3-course meal every Saturday. I said, wow, this is great. She's 9-year-old. What did she do? She took ChatGPT and she wrote up a big prompt. And she's saying, okay, give me a next 50 weeks plan for 3-course meal. She got a PDF converted out of it. She came to me, Mama, this is the plan. Let's go and cook. So that was the start of my Saturday. But yes, let's get our hands dirty. And that would be my recommendation to your daughter as well.
Thank you very much indeed, Tanu. Appreciated that. Thank you very much indeed, Ray. Lovely to have you here today. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Love your energy. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, AI cooking. I'm in.
Yeah.